and I run it, and I run it, and I run it, and I run it. Yes, I run it.
Alright, what would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned in the music industry so far?
Man, I think just take your time, and like, also like, when it comes to like business stuff, just like understand like your leverage, you know, and be patient. Because I think even though, you know, we can see like these labels as like a really big scary thing, or like some of these artists is like, oh, these are like really big, I gotta like take these opportunities and stuff. Like, you'd be surprised, like you don't have to sign everything the first time they give it to you. Yeah. You know, you can really negotiate certain times. And just like having good feel, you know, is important. Like people skills, as far as like knowing when, how like the business is going and how they're trying to come at you and like for what, you know, and like yeah, just having good like people skills, like as far as feeling them out, you know, it's like important. I think like that and understanding your leverage, being patient, those are like huge things to keep in mind. For sure.
Do you think it's better to be independent or signed? What do you say?
I don't think I necessarily have a preference for either one. I think that there are benefits to getting signed as opposed to independent, mainly because I don't think a lot of people know, but like 80% of like the streaming revenue goes to sign major label artists. There's 3 major labels. It's Sony, Warner, and it's Universal. So they kind of eat up all the market share, and they have like a monopoly on all like the, you know, assets that can help get your music streamed and stuff like that. However, when they hand you contracts, mainly, you know, or they offer you in advance, you know, they're expecting to make much more money off of that. So they're gonna shorthand you, you know, regardless. Like that's.
Do you feel like a lot of people kind of sign 360 deals?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do it all the time. A lot of people sign deals all the time. Don't necessarily know, you know, what what they're signing into. And honestly, to me, I don't really view that as the artist's fault. Still, you know, I think it is important for people to like read their contracts and like have a lawyer read over their stuff. You know, because I think a lot of people don't understand that like, you know, there's a lot of lawyers out there that would be happy to like read over your contract and take like 5%, or sometimes you can pay them a fee or something like that. It depends on, you know, what it's looking like. But yeah, a lot of people sign those type of deals not really understanding the whole aspect of it. Like, these people are not here to just hand you free money. Like, they're really here to like exploit you. And I think that understanding that is very important. So if you're okay with, you know, understanding that, like, you're going to be exploited in some way, but you're going to get this lump sum of money in exchange for this, then like by all means. But you know, the pros of being independent are like, you get to keep ownership of everything. The only thing is you're still getting boxed out a little bit out of a lot of assets that could help, you know, get you more money off of your music. So yeah, in this industry, the way it currently stands, it's a little tricky, you know, because there's pros and cons to both, for sure.
What's your opinion on the LA rap scene right now?
I think there's a lot of talent. I really think that there's like a lot of flourishing talent. I think that I really, really appreciate like the rawness of it. I think that there's so many different like you know, like different colors, you know, like in different styles coming out. You know, like, you know, you have Blast, and you have like the Beanos, you have like the Wallies, you have you know, Blue Bucks Clan. You have like all these different artists that sound unique, but they all have like this LA element to them. So I think we're in a really great time, honestly, for LA rap music. Now, granted, it might not be getting the recognition that the city like, or like a national recognition the city like Atlanta might have, or like even sometimes New York has that type of recognition, or even Detroit. But you know, I think it's also important to understand like that's not always up to us. You know what I mean? Like when we think about like the point I was making earlier about those major labels, it's like they own 80% of the revenue that's being made off music. So it's like it's not really our collective decision. You know, as far as listeners, you know what gets pushed out there all the time the most. You know, it's like they have way more power than we do currently. You know, so. I don't really like the culture of like, damn, like, all LA artists gotta do this, and that, and it's like, nah, like, I think that we're looking at it a little bit, like, wrong.
So, is there anything you think that we could do better to help progress us, or?
I think number one is understanding that, like...
How the industry works?
Yeah, I think that, like, we have to understand that, like, you know, it's not the artists, like, for some reason working harder in a different city. That's why they're up top, or like working together more. Like, I don't really buy into that as much, because I don't think that there's anything really like statistical to like back that up. You know what I mean? Like that can't be really qualified or quantified. And I think that like, you know, when we look at who owns these labels and who owns like Spotify and who owns these playlists and everything, it's like they have these like executive decisions. Like they have this like power like hedge over everybody else. So it's like not always up to us who blows up. You know what I mean? Like they're the ones handing people the contracts. They're the ones putting all the capital behind the music. So like as far as LA progressing, I think it's like important for LA to understand that, and like just understanding that if we want this sound to go national, it's not necessarily always about us changing how we sound sonically. I think it's just about maybe like thinking creatively as far as like how we can maybe own our own institutions and stuff like that, and really like utilize collectively like our support to like push this sound national, you know, or like international. Yeah, and just like utilizing our resources in that way. You know, there's a lot of like benefits in Los Angeles. There's so many artists out here, and like they're really good. So many like producers, engineers, everybody was really good. So yeah, I think working together is like a positive thing for sure. But also understanding that like as far as people blowing up in this country, like we don't necessarily have that decision. It's not the artist's fault.
What's something you learned later on in like the game that you wish you knew from the beginning?
Man, honestly, it's just like more, just like having a little more patience. You know what I mean? I think I've always had pretty good amount of patience, but I think like just not trying to jump too much at certain opportunities, like whether it's like having a certain manager, like, or just having a manager, just to have a manager, like anything like that. Like I think it's important to wait for like the right person, the right opportunity, the right everything, and just like really, you know, going all in on it.
So if there was any advice you would give to like someone new coming into like music, what advice would you give them?
Tell them, be yourself. I had some artists come to me the other day, like probably a week ago, asking me what advice I'd have for her. And I just told her to just be yourself. Like, just be relentlessly yourself. You know what I mean? And, like, try not to, like, bend at, like, I gotta sound like this, I gotta sound like that to, like, make some money. Like, I think, like, there's something powerful about an artist, like...
Being
really,
authentic?
Yeah, being authentic, really understanding who they are, and, like, being completely unapologetic about it. I think that's how all my favorite artists have moved. And, like, I want to see more of that, you know? I think it really separates people.
Is there anything new that you're currently working on or getting ready to release, or?
Right now, there's no like specific projects I would say that I'm like, you know, super working on. I'm getting some calls and stuff like that as far as like, you know, being available for certain projects, but nothing's really confirmed yet. But yeah, I mean, I've just been, you know, working with certain artists like an engineering level or like producing level. Like I work with Wally the Sensei, like, you know, whenever kind of we want to, like it's like me and him have like connection outside of music, so it's like kind of just hit each other up and be like, hey, at the studio today, you know. But yeah, there's definitely other artists too, like that. Yeah, I can't necessarily say right now, but you know, there's gonna be some cool stuff coming for sure.
If there was any artist you could work with, who would you choose and why?
I mean, I think I've been really lucky that I've gotten to work with almost everybody that I want to work with. I think the only one, like especially growing up, that I haven't worked with is really Kendrick. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just like I've always been really like appreciative of his like perspective and his process. I think he puts together really great bodies of work, and like I would like to see that in person. I don't even know if necessarily I would want to like be, you know, I wouldn't even have to necessarily contribute directly. I think I would just want to be a fly on the wall and just like converse with him and like learn, you know, about his process.
What advice would you ask him for? Have you seen him?
I don't know if I'd ask for like advice per se. I would want to know his writing process, and I would want to know what he looks for, you know, like, and I would want to know like, it'd be like a series of questions really. I think I'd just be like curious to see like, you know, because he's very concept heavy with his projects, and I would want to know like how early in the process he thinks of the concept. You know, is it in the middle? Is it way before? Is it like, you know, and like how does he piece all that together? And like when does he know it's like ready? You know, I think that's like stuff I would really want to pick from him.
Any shout outs? Anything else you want to say to people?
I just say, you know, if you're an artist out there, just keep being yourself and like be unapologetically yourself, and like find people who, you know, really love you for you, and work with them. Really, like don't be chasing people too much, and just like just be real authentic and apologetic about it, and it'll pay off for sure.
How can people contact you for beats or to work with you?
They can hit me on Instagram or on my email. My Instagram's Sean Matsukawa, SeanMatsukwa, and then my email is the same thing at gmail.com.